Before we can even read, we develop an opinion of what a good story encompasses. As we begin to read and are introduced to new types of stories, our opinions change and grow stronger. However, there are certain stories that appeal to larger populations than an individual, a small group, or even a community. So what makes these stories so much more popular? Readers and authors, and moviegoers alike, know that great stories have transfer. When a story has transfer, either the characters, conflicts, or overall plot is relatable to a large population, or the elements of the story can be adapted to create a new story with the same complex themes or general plot. The books chosen for use in the classroom are a prime example. Teachers want students to read texts to which they can make connections as they become more experienced readers. Texts with transfer allow for connections to be made and analyzed for years after reading the original text. A great example of a story with transfer is Romeo and Juliet. There is a reason that the majority of the world's population knows the story of the star-crossed lovers who lost their lives to love. The reason is because even though Romeo and Juliet was written and performed for the first time hundreds of years ago, the story is prevalent through modern entertainment even today. The two most popular films produced on the original story of Romeo and Juliet are different in almost every aspect except the original elements of the story: setting, characters, plot, and language. However, there have been books, plays, and movies produced that do not adhere as closely to the original Romeo and Juliet, but are similar in plot and theme, such as West Side Story, which employs a pair of star-crossed lovers. Even children are exposed to adaptations of Romeo and Juliet, though the most recent version was careful enough to keep some names intact and simply rhyme the new names of certain characters to the old ones. But movies are not the only entertainment media affected. Songs have been referencing Romeo and Juliet for decades, and songwriters continue to use the famous story to serve their purpose in telling tales of unsurpassed love and loss. Simple visual entertainment is not an exception to the rule either. Classic comic characters having continued to take on the personas of the celebrated couple and their troubles. Nonetheless, modern artists have also been influenced by the tragic tale and recount the events or characters in their own special way, while still acknowledging Shakespeare by making the connections obvious. Yet it seems that modern fiction and film is the most prone to recreating the story of the star-crossed lovers that began with Romeo and Juliet, young, passionate, reckless characters sharing a love that is forbidden or misunderstood. But sometimes it is simply about finding the love for which life is worth living or dying, or the characters could literally be worlds apart. However, it seems that on the whole our society is intrigued, and sometimes obsessed, with stories of unlikely love. Surely the authors and producers can take some credit for the creative twists and liberties that made these stories the successes they are, but credit must also be given to the story from which all the others spawned: Romeo and Juliet.